Okay, it is 5:30 on May 19th of 2026. This is Molly Rogers. I'm the chair of the North Wasco School District Budget Committee. And I'm going to call the meeting to order and ask if we have the very first thing before I call the meeting to order, do we have a quorum?
All right, Betsy, we can't hear you. We still can't hear you, Betsy. Sorry.
I
Oh,
can't
are you
hear
trying
me.
to? Oh, I'm here. I'm
Oh,
sorry.
yeah.
Speak up. I'm sorry.
I am counting that there are 8 budget meeting and board meeting members here. So I do think that we can start, and the first will be the Pledge of Allegiance. So if everybody can stand in their respective spaces. And I will lead with I pledge allegiance
Pledge allegiance
to the
flag of the
United States of
States of
America,
America and to the
to the
republic
republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Thank you, everyone.
Benefit of a stand-up desk.
Good for you.
Thank you, Jared. Thank you, Betsy. And now, is somebody from the school district able to come off of mute and do a roll call to confirm that we have a quorum?
Siobhan, there's Siobhan. Who are we missing from the board? We've got 1, 2, 3, 4. Siobhan's there. David
Pauline.
Kramer
and Pauline.
So since no one came off,
David is going to join, so we can.
We have a quorum now. We have 9, and so that is great. So first and foremost, I apologize for not being able to attend last Tuesday. I was out of town, and during the time I was in different time zones, and so just acknowledging that and appreciate Jeff for stepping in, and thank you to do that. I want to acknowledge that at the previous meeting held on May 12th of 2026, a motion was made to approve the 2026-2027 budget. The recorded vote was 6 ayes, 2 nays, and 1 abstention. And so, however, pursuant to OAR, Oregon Administrative Rule 150-294-450-0450, any action by the Budget Committee requires an affirmative vote from a majority of the total seated Budget Committee membership, not merely a majority of those present. So for our current seated number, that was six votes in the affirmative was not the required majority of the full committee membership, so it did not pass. Accordingly, the prior approval of the budget is void. As a result, the committee is convening an additional meeting and reopening. So this is the really important part. We're reopening the budget document for further deliberation and consideration pursuant to the Oregon Revised Statutes 294.426 subsection 2. The budget message was properly received at the initial meeting, and the committee continues to operate under that original presentation. And we held and heard we held space and did not have any public comment at that first meeting. I'm going to actually now turn it over to Dr. Bernal to talk about, to update us, to give message to the Budget Committee.
Thank you, Molly. Good evening, members of the Budget Committee. Tonight, I want to speak clearly about our vision for improving elementary literacy outcomes across North Wasco County School District and how this proposed budget reflects that commitment. First, I want to acknowledge something that we all agree on. Our reading outcomes are not where we want them to be, and our students deserve urgency, focus, and action from all of us. I also want to acknowledge the sincere advocacy from those who have suggested placing additional instructional assistants in every K-3 classroom. That recommendation, I know, comes from a genuine desire to support our students, and we appreciate that commitment. Our responsibility as district leaders is not simply to add more adults in classrooms. Our responsibility is to build a system that is strategic, sustainable, and grounded in evidence. Research consistently shows that unstructured adult presence alone does not significantly improve literacy outcomes. What does improve outcomes is trained adults delivering evidence-based instruction with a coherent instructional system. And that work is reflected in this budget. Our literacy plan is built around 3 core commitments: strong Tier 1 instruction for every student every day, targeted data intervention, and ongoing support and training for every adult doing this work. At the center of this plan is MTSS, multi-tier systems of support, ensuring students receive the level of support they actually need. This includes a guaranteed 90-minute literacy block in every elementary classroom, a protected 30-minute intervention block, structured small group intervention delivered by trained instructional assistants using evidence-based programs, and regular progress monitoring so intervention decisions are driven by real-time student data. We're also strengthening our systems surrounding instruction by reestablishing PLCs focused on student learning. PLCs are professional learning communities, building a district-wide instructional framework, investing in the science of reading training, and creating aligned coaching and professional development structures. Importantly, this is not a collection of disconnected initiatives. It is one coherent, research-based literacy system designed to last beyond a single budget cycle or leadership transition. This budget reflects intentional investments in training, systems, intervention structures, and instructional quality because we know that sustainable improvement comes from building adult capacity and creating consistency across our schools. I want to be clear, this is not a slower approach. It's a smarter and more targeted approach, one that's grounded in research, implementation science, and accountability. Our commitment is simple: high-quality, evidence-based literacy instruction for every student, supported by trained staff, strong systems, and data-informed intervention. Thank you. I'll turn it back to you, Molly.
Okay, thank you. Thank you, Dr. Bernal. Are there any, I don't know that I saw in my email the amended budget committee minutes, which is totally fine. They'll just go to the board. Is that correct?
Yeah, I didn't get those finished.
You don't have to legally have them.
No, that's totally okay. I just want to acknowledge that that on our agenda, there was a hope that we were going to have them done.
Yep.
So I completely acknowledge that was a really fast turnaround.
Yeah.
And that they will now go to the board. I want to now open up, are there anything else that from Dan or Dr. Bernal that you would like us to know, or any updates from last week on reviewing the 2026-2027, I don't believe there are, but proposed budget documents? Okay.
I do not have any.
Perfect.
Nor do I.
Perfect. Okay. And then I'm going to open it up to committee questions and remind everyone that in our very first meeting, as it relates to the authority of the budget committee, we are today looking at the numbers and the framework for North Wasco County School District to receive and appropriate and expend funds within a framework of a budget. And so I'm going to ask if there are any questions from the budget committee members or the board members, because you're now part of the budget committee, as it relates to the budget. Jared, thank you.
Yeah, I just had a comment and wanted to put it into the record as well. But Dan Peterson had provided me some kind of information because in the first meeting I brought up the fuel prices, and I think that we're underselling or under budgeting for fuel. In his email, he kind of wrote an explanation about how some of the funding, and correct me if I'm wrong on any of this, Dan, but so a lot of the funding is actually like paid back through a combination of the state and the people who are using our bus system. So there's like, even though this amount is budgeted, we're going to actually have some income coming in. Even with that, I still have concerns because the budget is assuming gas prices will resume dropping back to where they have been. And I don't believe that's going to happen by next year. Like they might drop because right now, it's almost $6 a gallon today. They might drop, but because of the damage to all of the systems, overall prices, I believe, are going to continue to stay not. I don't think it's going to drop to $3 a gallon by next year. I think we're going to be stuck in $4 for a while. So that is my main concern. I think that variation, even though it seems like a small number, is when you quantify all of that fuel usage, I feel like we're underselling the fuel that we need here.
Yeah, Jared. So the information that I shared with you is the exact same material that I shared with everyone who was present last week. And you may be right. The fact is nobody knows what fuel prices are going to do. They tend to go up quickly when there are crises like these, and then they get back to normal or slightly more than normal more slowly than they go up. But it is an estimate, and I continue to believe that it's a good faith estimate, and we may well overspend it, but historically we underspend the budget in more areas than we overspend it. So it's absolutely a valid concern, but I think it's something we can live with given its size. And yes, you are correct also about the reimbursement. Depending on where you are in the state and what your transportation costs are like, state school fund reimburses you at either 70, 80, or 90%. We're in the 70% tier. There are a few districts that are kind of on the cusp where they could tip into the 80% tier, and that would be nice, but we're not in that situation. We're at 70% and we're going to stay there.
Yeah, and Jared, I really appreciate you really taking a look at that. And what I think we should do is put a pin in that for the board, and asking them to take a look at the 6-month mark. And if readjustments need to be made in the budget at that time, that they take a look at that piece. But since it is such an unknown and there has been some historical I think it's a great point, and I think we should lift it as almost a Post-it note on the side for the board to take a look at it midway through the year.
One follow-up question on that. Would it be helpful, actually, Dan, would you be able to pass the information I provided you along to the board? I know one of them is that it's from a state Oregon site on how this all works. And in there, they kind of confirmed that I'm sure all of you might be surprised, since America's an oil rich state, but on the West Coast we get about 50% of our fuel from imports. So it's not domestic fuel we're using, but 50% from imports. So that's where we're particularly susceptible to these price shocks on the world stage versus somewhere in Texas or the Midwest. So
yeah, I'll be happy to share all of that stuff with the board. And yeah, you make a good point. I mean, we have a lot of domestic production. A lot of our importing happens from Canada, but the fact is oil is a global market. So, if it goes up anywhere in the world, it goes up everywhere in the world. Price of a barrel of oil affects everyone who uses it.
I super appreciate that. I just have been hearing now new supply chain challenges with oil's impact. So I think there's going to be a lot of conversations mid-year if the prices don't come down at some point.
Oh, one more thing for the board to bring up. They might want to stockpile in the motor oil if we do our own maintenance, because that's going to be the toilet paper of 2026.
Good to know.
You mean for oil changes on vehicles?
Motor oil itself, AutoZone has already put out a warning that they're starting to run out already. So,
Hoarding. Thank you.
Jared, you have the know on some oil.
I pay attention to global politics, so all these little things I luckily find out usually before most people, but yeah.
Great.
Political geek.
I actually super appreciate that. You actually made me go back and look at my budget, just so you know. Others, any other questions of the budget as it relates to the concept of our authority and framework? I am going to scroll through my participants, and I am going to ask Renata as well as Dr. Bernal to help me see if there are any hands that I am missing. Okay. Katie, please.
Can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. This question, of course, is for CFO Peterson and probably for Dr. Bernal too. And I don't know, it's kind of a two-part question, and maybe it can't be answered here, but maybe follow up in an email. In one of the budget committee meetings, CFO Peterson had mentioned needing to underspend the budget and followed that up with reporting to us that some FTEs were moved out of the general fund and into grant funding. And I'm just wondering how many FTEs those were, if you know off the top of your head, what positions those were, just because I'm curious about the funding and sustainability long-term for those positions by grants.
So I do not have that off the top of my head. I'm trying to look it up here real quick.
And if you need to follow up in an email tomorrow or something, that's totally fine.
We
I
can
know
follow up in an email with that information to
Probably
to all the board.
putting you guys a little bit on the spot for sure. And another thing that I was wondering about the beginning fund balance, I definitely noticed like it has fluctuated quite a bit from year to year over the last couple of years. And it looks like we're starting with 1 million in the beginning fund balance. Correct me if I'm wrong, if I was looking at the wrong thing. I'm just wondering, is that before the tax anticipation note money, or is that with that money being already received?
That's before
Okay,
tax anticipation note.
great. Thank you.
Okay, so the first question I definitely think is one that applies to the district to respond as a board rather than within the constructs of the budget. The second one also at the first meeting, I think Dan explained kind of the biennial role of a beginning fund balance and how that is impacted. Do you have another question, Katie? Your hand is still up.
I was trying to lower my hand. I may have just raised it again by trying to do that.
You can just give me affirmation if you have other questions, because I don't want to cut you off. So if you have other questions, please ask.
I think my other question will be in an email, so that's fine.
Okay, alrighty. Oh, there you go. It's now down. Any other questions? Okay.
Where's my hand?
You can just go, Kevin. I can see you.
Well, I'm probably going to get in trouble, but it won't be the first time. I had asked Dan, and then Dan forwarded a question about my concern for dual language immersion. and the cost, how much it costs. And I'm thinking it's probably 12% over what we pay for regular students. I'm a strong believer, and I brought this up last time about class size is an issue. And if we don't have class size, we should be looking at ESPs to support a critical age group. Harassment and bullying has cost us tremendous amounts of money in terms of people fleeing to private schools or homeschool. And we have an opportunity based on ORS 494.28 to request info from either the budget officer or the superintendent. And maybe it's just was not enough time to collect that information, but I would really like to know how much that would be. And also the cost for the training. You're looking at, we spend annually across the nation over $2,000 to train students, our teachers, to teach kids. And I think one of the things that my experience has taught me is that mentorship is huge. I just went through a celebration of life for Art Bull, and there's about 200 people there. He was the former athletic director and principal at the Dallas High School for 25, 30 years. And the kids that came up and talked about his influence on their life was huge. Now, if we can train kids K through 3, it's an initiation. It's huge to get them to stand in line, to get them to become little ladies and gentlemen. It's huge. And if we can't put a number on that, and Dr. Hattie's got some good stuff, but his methods have some real questions in the community of educators, et cetera, in terms of how he collects statistics.
Hey, Kramer, I am going to get you in trouble and point of order you. This is no longer the budget discussion, and you did ask for more information. We determined
I didn't get it. I didn't receive it.
No, we determined it was a future board activity, not.
Well, how can it be future board activity? We're talking about spending the kind of money we're talking about.
So I'm going to get back. Actually, I'm actually going to take it back that we don't have the authority. The budget committee and your lay citizens that have volunteered to join you do not have the authority to tell the district how to do programs and how to do that. That is a board discussion. And so I appreciate that, Betsy. But it truly is our authority granted because you have lay citizens who are not elected officials to your board. Here, our authority is to really look at the budget and frame that we have a balanced budget that can be submitted to the board. And the board has the level of policy. And you're talking, board member Kramer, you're talking policy. And what I mean by that is we could pass the budget and something significant could happen between now and a budget committee and the start of a board meeting or the new fiscal year, and North Wasco School District Board can move funds within and expend funds outside that. What our responsibility is really to pass the framework for a budget and then to acknowledge the taxes that need to be approved for the county assessor to then be able to do that. So you're talking programmatic and lots of policy discussions that are outside of the purview of your budget committee.
I was looking at ORS 294.414, and it talks about possibly revising the budget. Now, we can't cancel budgets, and I'm not saying cancel the dual language immersion program at all, but I'm just saying
you're asking
reallocation of funds to take some funds somewhere. That's what I'm talking about.
So that can still occur if that's the way a board decides to move with.
We can only do $10,000 or what is it, 5%, whichever is greater. We're limited that way. That's in your board policy stuff.
So it's actually, I think it's 10% or
10% or $10,000.
And that is, I don't have time, nor do I think the other budget committee members. That is a major fiscal policy change where you would be talking about FTE and having to move FTE. And there are lots of collective bargaining agreements that have to be played into that. That is much more complicated than what a budget committee is required and requested to do. We are at the 50,000 to 100,000 feet level, and what you're talking about is the dance floor. And so we're looking way higher and above that. And so that would be a conversation and a direction that the board of directors of North Wasco School District could do. And if they chose to do something like that, direct staff to redo a budget, and then there maybe have to be a supplemental budget. But that would, coming into the 11th hour of a budget policy, with that level of revision, is not good intentions with the budget committee. So I
guess I may have misread that wrong, but I would think that there's room.
Kramer, your request was extensive, and in the budget handbook and in the budget policy, extensive and time-consuming requests, which it was. Your email to staff asking about the program was. Hold on.
I'm sorry.
It was extensive, and the only way you can get that is if the entire budget committee agrees. If you really want to use that information to influence a budget. At this point, it's the 9th hour. You and I had a conversation that could be a board investigation. We would learn about the program. Everything you requested was kind of like a request for information. Tell me all about the program. Tell me how much it costs. We as a board can spend some time learning more about the program to make a determination as a board, our commitment to it and what we see, the value we see in it or not. So you agreed that would be a board activity for the next fiscal year. And so we're going to do it there.
I also thought I was going to get some information on that.
Okay. No, that it was deferred. Yeah, you're not going to get it for this, not for this. And I also said it was unclear, the timeline, because it's extensive and we have a lot of things on the agendas for the next 2 regular meetings. So it won't be on those, but into the next year.
And so I did pull up Oregon law again, and it says in the questionnaire for public budgeting and the revised document by the Oregon secretary. Let me make sure I articulate who it is by, because I want to be accurate. It's by the Oregon Department of Revenue. It talks about the role, and again, it is generally the budget committee's role is not to directly establish or eliminate specific programs or services. Standards and budget parameters established by the governing body give the budget officer and the administrative general staff guidelines for budget development. The budget officer prepares it within the parameters, and this is the budget that the budget committee considers during our meetings. And so that is where we are at. And so I'm going to ask now for other questions, not related to ESPs or DLI, about the from the committee on the budget that was proposed. And we have some great components and pins to put in it for the board. But I'm going to ask if there are any other clarifying questions. Katie.
Hi, is high dosage tutoring continued in the budget for this next year?
It's a grant.
Yes, it is.
At the same rate?
Yes, I think it's a little more in the second year of the biennium.
Okay, that's what I thought. I remember
slightly
the conversation, and this is not for answering here, but I am really hoping to get an update, and that can just be emailed too, of kind of where we're at with it, kids served, outcomes, how many we've hired, and everything. That would be wonderful. Thank you.
Yep, it's high dosage tutoring is still occurring right now. So
yeah, until the end of the year. Yeah.
We won't have data for you until it wraps up, but we can certainly prepare that.
Yeah, thank you.
Great question, Katie. Thank you. Your hand's still up. I'm just going to ask you again. No other question. You're good. You're good. I just want to make sure. I don't ever want to not include it. So, okay. Okay. So there was we're at the moment of action, and because I haven't heard any more questions and I haven't seen more hands. And so I am going to ask for if there is a motion to approve the budget as presented. And Jeff, I am going to ask, I believe you made the motion last time, if you would be comfortable restating your motion.
Restating my motion. I gotta remember what my motion was.
It's at the bottom of the agenda if you would like to have a bit of a script.
Oh, there we go. I move that the proposed budget for North Wasco County District 21 for the fiscal year beginning July 1st, 2026 be approved in the aggregate amount of $64,896,163. I further move that ad valorem property taxes be levied at the rate of $5.2399 per $1,000 of taxable assessed value in support of the general fund.
Okay. And Jose, I will note that you seconded it last time. I don't know if you feel comfortable doing that again this time or not.
I'll second it.
Oh, Jared, thank you.
There we go.
Okay, thanks, Jose. I am going to, so we have a motion and a second. I am going to ask for discussion specifically to the motion is the only discussion that we'll take is into the motion. Okay. So we need to do a roll call vote to make sure that we have the appropriate. So chair votes, typically chair votes last, but today I'm going to take the initiative to vote first so that it makes it easy for Renata. And Renata, will you please go alphabetically through the committee members and do a roll call vote?
Okay, so we'll start with the chair. So Molly Rogers, how do you vote?
I vote in affirmative, aye.
And then Aparicio, Jose?
Aye.
Okay. Jeff Kokenauer
Aye.
and Jared Gosson
Aye.
and Betsy Hagee
Aye.
and Katie Kelly.
I'll abstain. Renata, thank you.
Kevin Kramer,
Nay.
Karen Long. Sorry, I didn't hear it. Karen?
Yes.
Okay. And Liliana
Aye.
and Siobhan.
Aye.
Hey. David Pauline.
There you go away.
I don't see him on
I think we
anymore.
lost him.
He may have dropped off.
Okay.
It changes our quorum.
Okay. Oh, and Simi Schultz.
Aye.
Okay. So we have 9 aye votes and 1 nay and 1 abstention and 1 that disappeared.
Okay. Motion passes. I now want to take just a moment and I want to thank all of the community members for taking time to join in on the budget committee for North Wasco School District. We often don't sit in many of the board meetings. We're given a budget a couple of days before our first meeting and we're asked to really take a look at it. And I just really want to thank each and every one of you for doing that and taking the time to be thoughtful, to ask really good questions, to really have kind of input back to the North Wasco School District Board. And so I know the board gets conversation and communication all of the time, but I just want to thank and take a moment to thank the budget committee members and appreciate in doing that. The second is I really want to appreciate the North Wasco board because you trust us to be your community partners and to sit with you. And I know it's hard work and lots of difficult questions and lots of work that will go on after we adjourn today. And I respect all of the work that you do and the questions that you ask and the challenges that you have. And that we're just a step in making it work for you, but the work occurs every month when you guys do it. And it's been an honor helping and chairing the meeting this year. And so with that, are there any other items for the agenda that I do not currently know of?
Thank you, Molly.
Okay, you're welcome. And with that, I wish I had a big gavel, right? With that, have a good evening. The meeting is
Thanks,
adjourned.
Molly.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Molly.